A woman encounters a creepy figure in a haunted forest while running. Now, one of the questions that some persons will ask is, why even go jogging in a haunted forest? Well, a lot of people are always skeptical about a lot of stuffs. Let's dive right into the story and find out what happened with the woman that encountered what you see on your screen. If you're someone that you're not able to watch scary or listen to scary stories, then please, this story is not for you. Wait for the next gossip gist that will be uploading and then you can catch up. Welcome back, Entertainment Daily lovers. This is just one gist that we could not pass by. As we listen to celebrity gossip, YouTubers gist and much more, we also have to acknowledge the happenings around the world. We also have to recognize that we are not alone on this planet. Being skeptical or not being skeptical, sometimes people do encounter stuffs. Now, if you're enjoying content like this, don't forget to subscribe, turn on notification bell because you do not know when the next one will be popping up. So you'll be able to catch up on that creepy, scary, haunted story. Okay, so let's get right into the story right about now. Pardon my voice, I'm under the weather, so my voice sounds horrible. But let's get right into this story. It says, a woman encounters creepy figure called Night Mocker Demon while taking a run in a haunted forest. Haunted forest. Let's proceed. A woman may have unknowingly passed the ghost of a supposed ancient Hawaiian warrior while running through a rainforest. The lady, Kay Bollers, hope I didn't murder her name, was running the Hawaiian Ultra Running Team Trail, 100-mile endurance run on the Honolulu Moka Trail in Oahu in January 2019 when she had the scary encounter. To this day, we still don't know what it was, said Boris, a senior art director, in a blog post. The race, known as Hot 100, is a 20-mile loop through the rainforest that participants run 5 times. Boris' friend Cassie was running the 4th lap with her when Cassie snapped the photograph. Yeah, because I know some persons will say, how did they manage to get this photo? Because you can see the lady in front, she's just running and you cannot see camera strapped to her. So yes, now you know who actually took the photo. A friend of hers was running with her when she took the photograph, which she shared with friends and family. The dark figure is said to be a night marker, which are ghosts of ancient Hawaiian warriors who protect people so sacred that the common man was never allowed to look at them. After dinner, we drive back to our Airbnb and Cassie received a text from her mom. It was about one of the photos Cassie had sent. Boris explained. It was a live, moving photo. that showed a dark figure dressed in a cloak moving past me while I was running. Now I know my memory is quite shorty. After the race, and even while racing, but I did not remember passing a person on that strip of trail. Cassie didn't either, and she had her wit to her, the woman that encountered the creepy figure said. Now I know a lot of people are going to be kind of skeptical. They will say, if the figure was this obvious on the photo, and you can see that the figure is coming directly to the woman that is running, so they have to pass by each other. So how is it that this woman did not see, or claim that she did not see or notice the figure? Let me explain more. Stuffs like this are possible because this figure might have been caught on camera, but this lady would not be able to see the figure with her physical eyes. Some of these beings can reveal themselves to you if they want you to see them. Hence, a lot of times people argue that, oh, there are nothing else on this planet with man. It's only just man, animals, trees, whatnot. But when you talk about spirits and other type of stuffs, people don't want to believe that other beings are also dwelling on this same planet and roaming just as humans are roaming. As you're going about your day, if your spiritual eyes is open, at which some people do not even believe that they have spiritual eyes. Some people call it the four eyes, which animals also have, which mostly dogs. If you have dogs, cats, you will notice that sometimes they will behave strangely that you might not be able to explain. But that's because there are things they can see, sense, smell, that you cannot. Not because you are not able to, but because your eyes, your third eyes, is not working. You have not activated it, so you cannot see. And sometimes it is good that you have not, because you will see things that will give you sleepless night. Sometimes it's not by seeing, but by feeling. But it still boils down to your third eyes. If it is not open, you will not be able to feel. So even when you are, for example, with people and everybody's saying, we're feeling unease, like something is going, you're like, you will just be the one and only person there saying, well, I don't feel anything, I don't see anything, I don't sense anything, I don't smell anything. You just keep saying things like that because your eyes is not open and you're not able to feel. So I think that's exactly what happened in the case of this woman. That she did not feel or did not notice that something actually passed by her, because if it's some people, they will feel some type of way. You hear some people saying, I felt cold, I felt, all of a sudden the area was there's just always strange type of feelings that they've never felt before. Some people will have like shortness of breath, almost like they're almost passing out, like they cannot breathe, they're struggling for air. Which sometimes it is something that has never happened to them before. There are different feelings. There are different way you can feel. Or if you're like this, that it had to do with the forest. When you're in some part of the forest, the way you will feel will let you know that you are not alone. And you see people looking around, trying to see what is going on and stuffs like that. Let me know in the comment section if you've listened this far, what you think. Do you think that these people made up this story? Or do you really believe? Because one, they said this happened in the Hawaiian forest. And if you know, those people are people that also believe in the spirits. And beliefs go a lot of, go a long way. When they believe that they have forefathers, they have people that are still roaming, and you hear all this type of stories about certain group of people, certain tribes and whatnot. They believe that people like this do exist, spirits, good ones, bad ones, name it. So in places like that, you have high activity. If I should put it that way, you have high activity. And I will tell you this story also that is very similar to this. Once upon a time, there was an old man that told a story. This old man, he was a fisherman and a farmer. So when he was not in the rivers fishing, he was in his farm. He was in the forest collecting woods to sell. He didn't have so much. That's how he survived. This story I'm telling you is from Africa. So, according to his story, every day he's either in the sea, that's in the rivers, catching fish, or he is in the forest collecting woods. And this man will always say that if he should open his mouth and say what he has seen, that people will not want to step their foot in the forest anymore. That if he should open his mouth to say what he has seen when he's going for fishing, people will not want to step their foot in the water or even go to the stream to collect water for cooking, for use. For many years, this is the statement from this old man. Similar to, I will be back to the story of the old man. But let me point out something else. It wasn't only this old man that said this. The hunters from that village that this old man was also from in Africa said the same thing. They said because most of the hunters in Africa, they hunt in the night. To be more specific, West Africa. They hunt at night. That's when they go deep into the forest. Anywhere from 12 midnight, they're in the forest hunting till early hours. As you're waking up early in the morning, going to the market or going to the stream or, doing your morning chores, you see the hunters coming back with their kills. Or sometimes if they have very big animals that they cannot lift, they come back that early and then gather some youths and go right back into the forest, and you see multiple people lifting a heavy, huge animal that's been gone down by a hunter and bringing it back to the community so they can butcher it, put it in the marketplace for everybody to come and purchase. But one thing that was common among the hunters, the fishermen, because you had people that would fish at night during the day and all, is that they all had same saying. When they are asked about the forest, because a lot of stories, people hear stories coming from people that just maybe, should I say, accidentally encountered something, people that are not really users of the forest or users of the rivers and the seas and the lakes and the whatnot. People that just occasionally go into the forest for one or two things. And sometimes they encounter stuff and they talk. So, but the people that are the users of the forest, that understands the forest, that respects the forest, that knows what dwells therein, are always saying that if they should speak about what they have seen with their eyes in the forest, they do not think that their next venture into the forest, that they will come out alive. Likewise, the ones that frequent the rivers, the fishermen, the fisherwomen, they will tell you, if they will tell you everything that they have seen, that they might not return in their next venture. Let's go back to the story of the old man. And if we have time, we will get into the story of another old woman. So, these were the words of this old man. And when this old man, like I said, when he is not fishing, selling the fish in the community, he had a small boat, wooden boat with paddle. He would collect his farm produce and he would travel very far through the rivers, going through so many communities, miles upon miles, paddling, because the part of the country he is from, in Africa, they have less roads that connects communities. So most communities are reachable by sea or by water, by traveling through the rivers, through the sea. That's the only way. There are no bridges, no roads. So you cannot go on your car, even if you have a car, a bike, a bicycle, whatever, in those days. Even up till now, some communities are like islands, like you can only get through with a boat. In those days, taking farm produce and putting it on, what they have, what they call the houseboat, the wooden big boat that goes very slow, and then you have the speedboat that goes fast. Both of these boats were seen as luxury many years ago. This story I'm telling you is from the olden days, many years ago. So for you as a farmer, as a fisherman or a fisherwoman, to go and collect your farm produce, you want to sell, at least you want to make some gain. You want to have enough money for your family. You want to have enough money to pay up your debts. You want to have enough money to purchase some things. You want to have enough money to maybe fix your leaking roof, because it rains a lot in West Africa. So there is so much you need money for. So as a farmer, as a fisherman or fisherwoman, you are very careful with your spending. So they would not want to harvest their farm products and then, or even the fishes, and then put them in the speedboat or the houseboat, because you have to pay. a lot of money. And going to and fro, you will be coming back home with not enough money for your family, not enough money to do what you want to do. So they prefer going with their wooden boats, which in West Africa, in order to make you understand, these wooden boats are made by hand. So you have men that go into the forest with axe and they will bring down huge trees. I'm talking about in those days. Now, modern days, you have chainsaw and faster ways to bring down trees. In those days, men that does this type of jobs are seen as strong men because you need hardwood to do it. So they go into the forest, they look for a specific type of wood. Not all type of woods are used to make those wooden canoe boats. You need woods that would float, woods that will not break and get water in. So many stuffs are being considered. So they will chop down these big trees, huge trees in the forest, and by axe, and they will start constructing the canoes. When they are done, they will now pull it from deep, deep, deep in the forest out, and they will set fire in it to open it up and do the carving and complete everything and put them out for sale, and people will purchase them. That is what they did. So that's how people got their boats, their wooden canoe boats and paddles. So this man had one of those type of boats, and that's what he would use. Because they bought these boats belong to them. So what they do is they travel most times in groups, planning. For example, let's say if tomorrow is Monday, they would say to themselves in the community, we're going to the market in the next 5 villages. So people that are going, they will all group together and say as early as 5 a.m. we will all get down to the river, get on our boats and start going. So sometimes you have 2 persons, 3 persons on a boat, depending on the size. Sometimes you have just 1 person, but then, or sometimes you have 2 persons. They gang up and they all leave at the same time so they can keep each other company, taking their lamps and food that will last them on that journey. So if it's going to be a 5-day, they paddle, they stop, they camp, they get back on their boat, they continue paddling the next morning. When they are tired, they stop, they tie the boat somewhere in the forest, along the river, the bushes, they tie it, they camp, they continue on their journey until they get to where they're going and they sell, they start coming back, the same thing. But sometimes you're not able to find people to travel with you, so you travel alone. And because this man, because of the choice of goods that he loves bringing back, he loves going even further than most people. So he's always on that journey on his own, or he goes as far as with some people, and once they get to where they are comfortable stopping and selling their goods, they stop and he continues on his journey. This old man has been doing this trip and he was respected in his community for that, because it was not an easy journey. So whatever this man was encountering, he could not speak because he knew that it wasn't something he could say. But fast forward many years later, when this man was getting very, very old, he decided he wasn't going to go that far anymore to sell his goods. He will go to like 5, 6 communities, 4 down, and that will be it. Then once in a while, or like once in a month or once in 2 months, he would embark on that his long journey that takes him months to get there and months to come back. So everybody knew this. But I don't know if it was old age that made the man decide to break one of the rules that he had kept all this while, which was silence. Never say what you saw. Never speak about what you saw. This man sat down and told his story. I do not know exactly what led to why, or what's the reason why he decided to tell his story, but this is how we got to know, and the story was being told over and over and over. And it was said that this man, on his journey to that very far place to sell his goods. Now, I don't want to say, I'm not naming names because these are true stories, real people. So if I will put the names of the places and everything, you will be able to go and find out they have families. And I don't have permission from the families to tell their story. So that's why I'm not giving names of areas, places, specifics. But the story goes like this. The man said, on his journey, his early days, one of the first things he had encountered was the mermaids. He said he left his village very early one day. He was paddling and going as usual. When he gets tired, he will stop, tie his canoe boat, and camp. Eat, sleep by the riverbank, and then early he would now get back on his boat and continue paddling. He said on this day he had passed about 4 communities, approaching the 5th one, which is one that had a lot of sand beaches, and they had like a sand hill in a part of the where the river becomes narrow. You have to paddle by the side to pass. That area is always quiet. He has passed that area several times on this journey. But on this particular day, by the time he was approaching that community, it was noon. So the sun was very hot that day. So he had taken off his clothes and he was just paddling slowly, not to stress himself too much, so he will be able to cover many miles at least before it gets dark. He was just paddling slowly. And when he approached the sand hill area where the river started getting shallow, where you have to be careful where you're passing with your boat because there was a lot of sand, he noticed a lot of females with long hair. He said at first, from far when he was approaching, he thought it was people from the community that came there to play that day because it was a beautiful day, the sun was up, and he wasn't even thinking about anything of such. So he just kept paddling slowly and slowly. He wasn't making a lot of sound because it depends on how you paddle. You can be very silent when you're paddling this canoe boat, this wooden boat. The closer he gets, the stranger these creatures looked, and their hair did not look like any hair he has ever seen. The length was just too long. So the closer he got, then he realized what he had seen. He said they also saw him. But then he had the fear in him because he did not know what was going to happen to him. So what he did was dock his boat, went to the forest and hid himself. After a while, he saw all of them went back into the water and he continued on his journey. This same man continued by saying that when he completed that journey, coming back, he prayed to his ancestors that when he got to that spot, because there was no other route, he has to pass through that same place to get back to his village. No other way. So he came back. On another time, he was on same trip. On this time, he was paddling late. It was dark, but he just wanted to cover up some miles before he would dock and camp. He said what he encountered, his mouth could not tell. So, in other words, not only humans were using those rivers, those streams, the sea, wave, or name it. As he was going on his journey, he kept encountering things that were not humans. These are things that he saw with his own eyes. Like I said, this same man, when he is not selling his farm products, he used to go for fishing. This same man told the story of what he encountered once in the water when he went for deep diving. There's this type of diving that they go for where they dive very deep. You hold your breath, put your hands in holes to bring out this type of big fishes that love hiding in holes in the rivers. He talked about the man or a being that looks like a man that he encountered and fought with in the water and almost lost his life. He said that was not human from the look, from the feeling of the skin and everything. It was sleepy, slimy, very difficult for him to grab hold. It wasn't something he was expecting. But like I said earlier, I still do not know why the old man, after being silent for all those years, decided to spill. But spill, he did. Let me quickly round up the story of this old man so I can tell you the story of the old woman also. All of this I'm sharing with you is just to help you understand that we are not alone on the planet Earth. There are other things also roaming, but because you have not seen it, doesn't mean they don't exist. So, this man, for many years, he stopped traveling or going on that journey that takes him many months to go sell his goods and return. Sometimes he gets his goods and sells them in his village. his community or sells it to other people. But he will go for his fishing and sell and, go bring woods and do every other thing. But one fateful day, no one knows up until this day, no one knows what happened to him that day when he woke up, went down to the river, pulled up his boat, and started fixing it up, checking everything is okay. Because once in a while, people will bring their boats up to check if there's any leakage, anything to fix. He was fixing his boats, and people asked him, "Why are you fixing your boat?" And he said he wants to do one last trip because it's been a long time since he went on that long trip. That he wants to do one last trip before his body is too weak and frail for him to do such long distance. That he enjoys that trip and he wants to get some of those goods that you can only get from those far places. So a lot of people discouraged him and told him not to embark, not because of the story he had just told, because at this time, a lot of people still didn't know about the story. So, but the distance is one that scares a lot of people. He said he would be back in less than a month. He prepared himself as usual. Waited for the end of the farming season. Time for harvest. He harvested his crops. And people in his community saw him loading because you have to pack your boat carefully. He packed his goods in his boat, took food and everything else he needed that will last him for that month that he will be on the river. And this man, he got to the day he was going to leave. He went down, got on his boat. Lots of people saw him that day. People that were at the river washing clothes, washing dishes, washing the fufu, which is a cassava flake that they make. Some, saw him. People have the cocoyam. They have all these things that they just take to the river. The river is always busy because that's where people collect the drinking water, where people shower, where the community do everything. So the little children are swimming and everything. The day he left, lots of villagers saw him leaving. That was the last day, the last time anyone ever saw that man. He left on that journey and he never returned. His family kept waiting and waiting. It was 1 month, then 2, then 3, then 5, 10, 12. It's a year. 2 years, 3 years, till date. Nobody knows how that man ended. Nobody knows what happened to him. No story. Nothing was heard about this man. Could it have been that if he did not spill what he had seen, he would have been able to go and come back? What happened on his way that made him not to return? Nobody knows. His body was never found, that you say maybe the canoe capsized and no. Nothing was found. It's almost as if he completely vanished from the face of the earth. So, so that's how the old man suddenly vanished, as if he never existed, as if he was not a person that was once on this earth. Let me take you to our next story, which is the story of the old woman. This woman started going for fishing when she was a little child with her parents because her father and mother were fishermen. So that's what they did for a living. So they were very good at it. They made a whole lot. Their family was comfortable from that. The mom will go with her friends, the father will go with with his own friends, and sometimes both of them they'll come together, and they also do the group fishing where there are so many fishermen and women, and they go fishing together and they catch a whole lot and they sell and make a lot of money and then split the money. Also keep some fish for consumption for their families and stuffs like that. So this lady saw her parents doing this, and growing up, she started as a little girl by going with a small basket, woven baskets, to go collect small fish that she would come and roast with her friends and eat. So when she grew up, she started as a teenager, she started going with her other teenage friends to go for fishing, go for lobsters, collecting perencles, collecting all the seafood, the different seafood, mussels, perencles, what's it called? What's this other one called? I forgot. But all these stuffs you find in the sea, fishes and so forth, so on and so forth, crayfish and so much more. So while they were doing this, the the parents of this girl always warned her to be very careful in everything she's doing when she's going for fishing. But she did not understand why her parents, but because they did not want to scare her, they never really told her what they knew about the sea, they knew about the rivers. So growing up, when she was now grown, gotten married, had her family, but she was just newly married, according to her story, and she decided she had moved from her hometown to her husband's place, which is quite different from her own place. And she decided to find people that love going for fishing or people that do that as a job, so she can also go with them so she can catch fish for her family. At this point, she was not looking to sell, but she wanted to make sure that she has fish in the home instead of going to the market and waiting for other fishermen and women to come and she buys from them. But because she comes from a family of fishermen and fisherwomen, she wanted to make sure her home there's always fish, dried, fresh, whatnot. So this woman found another lady that also goes for fishing. She sells sometimes, but most times she keeps for her family, but she loves it. So both of them became best of friends and very close friends. So they will always go for fishing together. And on this day, they've done it so many times. They in the night they go for the night crayfish, where you can catch a whole lot of crayfish, but you need to know how to use the huge square net to do it. And the woman was good at it, and this other lady too, coming from a family of fishermen, was super good at it, and she decided they will be going together. So they went at night to go and hunt and collect these crayfish. They did, they returned back successful. Several times they have done this. Many years they kept going for fishing, and so many times, according to her, they have encountered things that were weird, but they could not see but they could feel that there were times where they could feel that they were not alone. But they would just shove it off because look, one, it is late night. Sometimes it's about 12 midnight, 2 a.m. and they are in the water far away from the community where even if you scream, there's no community around, there's nobody to help you, and you have to swim with that boat and swim, and they're pulling their boat, they are swimming, and they have the net on the other hand. So it's difficult. Nobody is coming to help you if anything happens. So you have to be brave to do that job and not think of anything. So even when they feel that way, according to the lady, they will always say, "We are just innocent women trying to feed our family." These were her words. "We are innocent women trying to feed our family. Please, whatever it is, go in peace and let us go in peace." And they will continue on their journey and not trying to be inquisitive, trying to read. Sometimes they will hear the wind in a particular area where everything else is calm and the wind is just blowing and moving in some direction. They will keep repeating these words: "We are innocent people, our hands are clean. Please go in peace, let us go in peace, and everything will be okay." So that is about what they have actually seen, but they've never really encountered something that they will say, "Okay, we saw something that looked like," or whatever. But on this day, they decided they were going to go for fishing. She went for her walk, came back, and then in the evening, she left her home and then went down to the community where she will meet up with her friend, and they will go for this night fishing. So they waited in the friend's home until it's dark. That's when they will now get on their wooden boat and start paddling to where they will start collecting the fish, start using their net to hunt for the crayfish, fish, or whatever they are hunting for that day. So like every other normal day, they were laughing, paddling, and joking and just talking as they were paddling to the spot where they know they used to find those type of things that they wanted to catch that day, crayfish or whatnot. So by the time they were getting to the spot, it was already around 11 p.m. at night. They settled down, started arranging, checking, putting the nets and putting everything they're going to set and start pulling it. All of a sudden, from afar, they could see a very bright light. And they both stopped and looked at each other. And to them, it never, like, they could not make sense of what they were seeing because of where they were. They were not close to any community. They were not close to any settlement. They were not close to any civilization. Like they were just it was just the river and the forest and farms and stuff like that. Nobody lives around that area. You have to, if you're paddling back, you have to paddle back for miles. If you're going further, you have to go further for miles before you get to any community, any settlement. So why should there be a fire in the middle of nowhere? And that is the direction they are going to. They cannot return right now because they've not already caught enough fish. That is enough for them to say, "Okay, let's leave it." So they just said, "Let us ignore and keep on doing our thing." Maybe people are collecting night snail. Now they were trying to make themselves not to be scared because the people that go for late night snails and stuffs like that, even they carry a different type of lamp that they burn that is not as bright, is not half as bright as what they're seeing. So they just left that, like try to remove that, like there's no other thought, that they could not make sense of what they were seeing from distance. So they just kept catching, and all of a sudden, according to them, they were getting more fishes, more crayfish than nets of food. So that also distracted them. They were like, "Oh wow, we cannot stop now that we started getting more." So they just kept going and going, and when they came close that they could see what was bringing out the fire, both of them were shocked in, like they were in the water. The water was up to their chest level, where they were pulling their wooden boat with one hand, where they would pull it with one hand, and they would use the net to fish around that area and then pull the boat further and keep walking in the water and pulling the net also. They will lift it up when they feel they have something, and they would pour it into the boat and put back the net and continue. So when they got to where they could see what was bringing it, they stopped in their track and they were like, we don't understand. How is this possible? According to the woman, what they saw was humans standing in like a circle, completely nude, with strange looking hairstyles, and they were dancing, and as they dance, bright fires were coming out from their private areas. Because of YouTube, I cannot, but you know what I mean. And these flames will come out and brighten the whole area, and then all of a sudden it will dim up again. And they were dancing. They were women and men, because you could see them when this bright light shines. Everywhere brightens up, and you can tell. So they stopped their boat and they were watching, and they were so scared because they did not want, because they could not understand what that was. Now they have heard that is the dance of witches, because a lot of people have heard the stories of witches and the dance and what happens. But not many persons, not a handful of persons, can boast and say they have seen, they've encountered a witch doing that their witch dance. So they were seeing it for the first time. So they stopped, put their net in their boat, and at this point they didn't know what to do. Should they get on the boat and start paddling? Is the paddle going to make noise and alert these weird thing that they are seeing right now, and is that going to cost them their life or whatnot? So they stood there for a while, and this dance kept going on. They now finally decided that they were going to just keep moving in the water and pulling the boat slowly until they have given enough distance between themselves and these weird people or weird things that were bringing out fire from their privates, and then they will get on their boats and paddle back home. So that's how these two women left, slowly pulling their canoes, pulling it and going, until when they were far enough from these people, they launched on their boat and they started paddling slowly. When they were far enough, they used all the energy they had to paddle, and they got back home, took everything, and they went home. When they got home, they could not even speak of what they had seen. So, I hope if you have watched up to this extent, I have so many more stories I can tell, but I just wanted to share these two stories as I saw this particular story from Hawaii, from Honolulu, Hawaii, and what those women saw. I know a lot of people will be skeptical, thinking that maybe these are just made up stories. These are stories that are cooked up by these women because maybe they just want to get popular, they just want to trend, and people would want to tell all the stories, trying to make some gain some traction or whatever the case may be. But trust me, pray that you never encounter something like this when you are out there for a run, when you're out there for a walk, or you're going for camping, or you're going for fishing, or you're just passing by somewhere, or resting, or just doing something that you always did, a place you've always been, and all of a sudden you're seeing something that is you cannot explain. Sometimes people end up getting hurt very bad. Sometimes people don't make it back alive. You hear about disappearances that are just very strange. People going to the forest, people going for hikes, never coming back. They will search the whole forest, search everywhere. You will not see even a dead body to say, okay, this person had an accident and that's what happened. Sometimes people vanish as if they never existed in this planet Earth. Just know that the world, you are not alone. You are never alone. So be very careful and be respectful of nature. Be respectful of everything you see. When you're in the forest, respect the forest. Know that you are not the only one using the forest. When you are at sea, when you are in the river, respect it. Know that you are not the only one there. When you are on the road, respect the road. Know that you are not the only one using the road, because there are other people and other things using that same road and using those same things with you, but your physical eyes is just not open, and your physical eyes is not able to see them. But if your spiritual eyes is open, you might not want to be on that road, you might not want to go on that hike, you might not want to go on that camping trip. But this is not to scare you. This is just to inform you that you should always be vigilant and respect nature. Respect the planet that you dwell in, because you are not alone and you are not the only person that is using this forest or using the earth. That being said, I would love for you to let me know in the comment section if you are watching the full 1 hour of this video. Let me know if you want us to do more of this type of stories on this Entertainment Daily. Yes, it's Entertainment Daily, and some people love listening to stories like this. But if stories like this scare you, please hold on for when we have celebrity gist and news like that, so you can be informed on your best and favorite celebrity gossip, so you can be informed about every other juicy gist about your favorite YouTuber and whatnot. But until then, do not forget to subscribe, turn on notification bell, so you will not miss out on every juicy gist that we have to bring to you. But let me know what you think about the story of the lady that encountered this creepy humanoid in this rainforest. And trust me, I do not know why they would say that a haunted forest should be a place for a marathon, should be a place where people should go for running. If it is haunted, it is called haunted for a reason. Sometimes people will not take these things serious because they always feel like we are humans and we are the only ones in the forest, or we are the only ones that have the right to use the forest. We are the only ones that have the right to go around and walk around and just do whatever we want to do in this world. No, you are not the only ones. And sometimes you might be interrupting these things too when they want to have their free time and wander around also, or do whatever they know how to do or whatever they love to do. And sometimes they might not want to encounter you, and some of them might not be that merciful when they encounter you. So my advice to people is, if a forest is haunted, respect it and only go into such forest if need be. If you don't have the need, go jog somewhere else. Find other areas where those areas that are not haunted, and you can go for your jogging there. But until then, respect haunted and sacred places. If the people are telling you that this area is haunted, it is sacred to them, certain things happen there, they carry out their rituals and do whatnot, do not just play down on that because you probably do not believe in anything and you feel like people are just being silly for believing in stuff that you think is being silly because you cannot. Because you being stubborn does not mean that if you venture, you will not encounter something. And these two were very lucky that what they encountered was not one that was wicked. It was not one that was mean. Maybe it was just one that was just simple and just loves showing itself to people sometimes and not causing any harm. But being on the same path face to face with a thing like this could actually do more harm than good if it was not a good spirit that they had encountered, or if it was not, it was actually a spirit that was not troublesome. If it was a spirit that was troublesome, then it's going to be something scary. Thank you so very much for watching and listening. Comment, and may God bless you and be with you.